Hi everyone, this is Ashley. I hope y'all are having a splendid day. Recently I did an experiment using two home pregnancy test strips or HCG test strips, and I put them side by side because I wanted to see if one with HCG versus one without, if the one without HCG, just simply being next to the test strip that contained HCG, if that would cause a line to form just by it being next to the test strip, which it did. So I wanted to do another experiment using an OPK, and I know the OPK will have two lines, so I wanted to put the test strip, the HCG test strip, next to the OPK to see if it would do the same thing, if the dye would run off and run into it. Because I know sometimes we tend to do both at the same time, and I wanted to find out if that would be the case. So let me go ahead and explain how this works for those of you who are new to using test strips or whatnot. They work very similar to midstream test. With the test strip, pregnancy test strip, two lines are going to indicate a positive result. The control line is going to be activated pretty much by any liquid, including water, and it just indicates that the test is working properly. It's optimal to use first morning urine whenever you're testing, especially if it's early on in pregnancy, if you're tracking your cycle and you're using a highly sensitive test, which they do have like 10 MIU test strips, and you can even use like first response, which is 25 MIU, but tends to pick up on as low as 6.5 MIU according to consumer studies. So pretty much any line, no matter how faint it is, as long as it comes up within the allotted time frame specified on the instructions, and typically it's about anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes, that would indicate a positive result. Whereas if only one line appears, the control line, that's going to be a negative. Anything that appears outside of the time frame should be considered invalid, and not to say you're not pregnant, but you may not have enough in your system just yet. So you may want to wait a day or two and just retest. The OPK is actually kind of similar, except it's actually optimal to use afternoon urine versus first morning urine, and typically between 2 to 8 p.m., and you want to test around the same time every day. Normally we have a small amount of LH, which is the luteinizing hormone that surges and runs through our system all the time. So OPK is going to pick up on a higher surge or a higher concentration. And so to indicate a positive result, you typically want the test line to be equal to or darker than the control line. So if you get two lines, but the test line is faint or lighter than the control, then that's going to be considered a negative. Same as if there's only one line, and that would be the control, that's going to be a negative. If it's the same, equal to, or darker than, then that's going to be a positive result. So these both have a max line, and you don't want to dip it past the max line. I like to dip them about 5 to 10 seconds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and dip the OPK first, and then I'm going to dip the home pregnancy test. I also just wanted to show you, as I'm using this as my control, I dipped this earlier, and it's negative. There's no line there, so if a line should appear on this one, it's going to be a result for me next to the OPK. So let me go ahead and dip this. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and dip this now. All right. And normally with the OPKs, you can see them. The control line comes up fairly quickly. Okay. Okay. Actually may need to put them on a completely flat surface, so I'll just do that. Okay, so here we go. I'm trying to line it up, control line to control line, so, okay. Okay, so we're right around the 5-minute mark, and we're going to go ahead and watch these. This is the brand of ovulation test that I'm using. And I'm using these one step. These are 25 MIU, and I believe these are also 25 MIU. And typically most test strips are about 25 MIU, not to say you can't get them. You can get them at 10 MIU, 15 MIU, just depending. And what I like about these, they're fairly inexpensive. You can get them in big bundles. You can get combo packs as well. And I like to do combo packs, and especially because of, experimental purposes or whatnot. So you can get them pennies on the dollar, and I usually, you can get them 5 to 20, 25, just depending on how big the bundle is. Very inexpensive though. And you definitely always want to use pink dye. I don't know if there are any test strips available that are blue dye, but I tend to stay away from blue dye just simply because they're hard to read whether they're ovulation test or pregnancy test. With the pregnancy test, you also run the risk of getting a false positive, and that's where the blue dye just kind of bleeds into the test line. Doesn't mean that you're pregnant. Can get your hopes up, and so I think they should pull them off the shelves and just stay away from them altogether. So I just stick with pink dye. Okay, and I think I may possibly see somewhat of a line forming on the home pregnancy test, if I'm not mistaken. And I think this could just simply be, from it being next to the OPK. I know sometimes we tend to use, because these ultimately, the OPKs have 2 lines on them, so we tend to line them up with our home pregnancy test strips just to see if we can see a line. But if you do it too soon, or if you do them while the test strip is still wet, you do run the risk of getting another line, like getting a false line on the pregnancy test, which is why I'm doing this, because I've actually seen this all too often, so I just wanted to test out the theory myself and see if it would happen. So for the pregnancy test, I think it's been about 3 minutes. Maybe 4 to 5 minutes for the OPK, or less than that. I did them about the same time, but just give or take. I know when I did this experiment using the 2 pregnancy tests, one contained HCG. I had a sample from a friend who donated who's pregnant, and then of course a sample that contained no HCG. And almost within a matter of a couple minutes, you saw a second line forming on the other test that contained no HCG, except it wasn't a full line. It just kind of was like halfway going down. And so I wanted to point out that if that ever happens, that is going to be considered a negative test. It's not going to be considered positive, simply for the reason, if it is actually a positive result, the whole line itself is going to be positive. I also wanted to point something out as well. Generally, when you're using an OPK and it's testing for luteinizing hormone, even if you have the smallest amount in your system, it's going to pick up on it. You're still going to see a very faint pink line. I tend to see people who are posting tests and they get confused when they see lines that contain no color, and they kind of look like indentations. And I just wanted to point out that that is simply just the antibody strip. It's not going to be any different with the home pregnancy test. If you have any HCG in your system, even a small amount, and it's enough to pick up, like say if it's a 25 MIU test, and it's the closer you are to your missed period, the more accurate the test is going to be. If you have at least that amount, you're going to see a pink line. It can be a very, very faint pink line, but you're going to see a pink line. So if you don't see a line with color to it, more than likely it's simply the antibody strip. So and especially even if you see a line that kind of disappears. I actually have an article on my website that pertains to this, and it's called The Truth About Evaporation Lines, and it kind of goes over everything from what a true evaporation line means, what an indentation is, what a dye run is, and all the things that can cause faulty looking tests, and whether or not they are considered to be genuine positive results. Most of them are not. The only genuine positive result is a line that's going to appear, and it's going to be a solid, regardless of the shade, light or dark, within the allotted time frame. And if that doesn't happen, then it's not considered a true positive result. Okay, so there does appear to be somewhat of a very faint line on this test. And it almost looks like you see on the very edges right there that it's starting to form, but see, it has run a little bit of dye onto the home pregnancy test. And if I didn't know any better, I probably, like if I was anybody else in this journey, I would probably be getting really excited thinking that, oh my gosh, this is a faint positive result, but really it's not. It's because the dye is running into the test strip on this test. So it's very important not to do this and not to keep them, you don't want to have them be in contact with each other. So I just kind of wanted to point that out. Anyways, with that being said, if you've liked this video and if it's helped you in any way and you found it educational, informative, whatnot, do us a favor and like our YouTube channel, like the video, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That would help us out quite a bit, and I'll continue to make these videos for you. Also, like us on Facebook.com/PeonAstickFreak, Instagram, which is PeonAstickFreak, and then also, of course, Twitter, which is PeonAstickFRK. We also have a lovely group on Facebook as well if you're going through the journey and you're trying to have a baby or whatnot, and we'd love to have you there, especially if you're a PeonAstick addict, like so many of us are. Feel free to join. We are called the PeonAstick Freaks, and we are informational group where we have some awesome, amazing girls in there who have tons of experience. So it's a great place to post your tests, your OPKs, ask questions. You know, even if you're in the process of, like, say if you have a child and you want to have another one maybe down the line, it's a great place to get good information. Aside from, of course, www.peonastickfreak.com, because we have loads of information on that website as well. So I really highly recommend, if you're there, we'd love to have you. So give us a join. We truly have some terrific girls in there. And also, we're doing a secret sister group. It's kind of like being a pen pal, like Sister Sock Buddy. I think it's kind of what it is. And it's like, instead of sending letters, you send out care packages. So we pair you up, you sign up, we pair you up, and once a month for 3 months, you have this person that you're paired up with, and you have an opportunity each month to sign up. And I think it's about a $15 limit, $20 limit, just depends on which month it is. And it's really neat. It's kind of for support purposes. So I send you a care package, you send me a care package, and it's really awesome. So again, that is, if you have a Facebook, join the group. We are the PeonAstick Freaks, and it's really neat. Also, again, hit us up on www.peonastickfreak.com. Like us on Facebook, PeonAstick Freak, Twitter, PeonAstickFRK, and of course Instagram, PeonAstick Freak, where we update our content all the time. And again, if you've enjoyed watching this video, like the video and subscribe to our channel. That would help us out a great deal, and we'll continue to keep making these fun little videos for you. So this is my conclusion, experimenting with the OPK and the home pregnancy test strip and putting them side by side. It will, in fact, as you can see here, cause somewhat of a dye run and somewhat of a faint line, so definitely be careful with that. If you have any other fun experimental ideas with OPKs or home pregnancy tests, hit us up, private message me, leave a comment on the website, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can also email me at admin@peonastickfreak.com and just let us know. There's also a contact page on the website as well where you can give us your fun, unique ideas. All right, well, this is Ashley signing off, and everyone have a wonderful evening.